San Francisco's Airwaves are about to undergo a significant change as a beloved local radio station announces it will be moving away from its iconic 80s hits format. This shift has generated considerable buzz among listeners who have cherished the station's nostalgic programming for years. Here's what you need to know about this major change. The radio station in question, known for its dedicated 80s music programming, will be transitioning to a new format that will feature fewer hits from the 1980s. This decision marks a departure from the station's long-standing identity, which has been centered around playing classic tracks from the decade. The shift is part of a broader trend in radio programming where stations seek to adapt to changing listener preferences and market dynamics. Several factors have contributed to this decision. One significant reason is the evolving taste of radio listeners. As demographics shift and new generations become more influential, radio stations are adapting their content to attract a broader audience. The rise of digital streaming services has also changed how people consume music, leading traditional radio stations to rethink their strategies to remain relevant in a competitive media landscape. Another factor is the desire for the station to diversify its offerings. By reducing its focus on 80s hits, the station aims to incorporate a wider range of genres and contemporary music styles. This move is intended to capture a larger audience and provide a more varied listening experience. The hope is that this new direction will attract new listeners while retaining some of the station's existing fan base. The announcement has been met with mixed reactions from longtime listeners. Many fans of the station are disappointed by the change, expressing nostalgia for the classic hits that defined their listening experience. For these listeners, the station's previous format was a treasured part of their daily routine, providing a connection to the past through its curated selection of 80s music. On the other hand, some listeners are open to the change, seeing it as an opportunity for the station to evolve and offer fresh content. They believe that diversifying the music selection could bring new energy to the station and attract a wider audience. This format change highlights broader trends in the radio industry. Many local stations are grappling with the challenge of staying relevant as the media landscape evolves. The shift from a niche format to a more diverse playlist reflects a strategic effort to adapt to changing consumer habits and preferences. It also underscores the competitive nature of the radio industry, where stations continuously seek ways to differentiate themselves and attract listeners. As the station begins its transition, it will likely face a period of adjustment. The programming team will need to carefully curate new content that resonates with both existing and new listeners. The success of this transition will depend on how well the station can balance its new format with the expectations of its audience. The station's management has indicated that they will be actively seeking listener feedback during this period of change. This feedback will be crucial in shaping the station's future direction and ensuring that the new format meets the diverse tastes of its audience. The move away from the 80s hits format represents a significant shift for this San Francisco radio station. While it marks the end of an era for fans of classic 80s music, it also signals a new chapter as the station explores a broader range of musical content. As the station navigates this transition, it will be interesting to see how it adapts and evolves to meet the changing needs of its listeners. For now, the airwaves will be filled with a mix of new and familiar sounds as the station embraces its new direction.